The price people paid for you to be in 2026 to be able to have a bank account without the signatory of your husband or a brother or your father. Do you know what price people have paid for you to throw that away and be like, he'll take care of it? Hello, how are you? Hope you're well. Thank you for tuning in and welcome back to my channel. I just thought to myself that it's been a while since I've done one of these Wisdom Wednesdays. This is where we dissect or extract from either a film I've been watching or a book I've been reading or something that's happened in like in the news or something, and we dissect it and try to extract some form of wisdom from it. When people share their story, there's always something to learn from it. I truly believe that. Today I'd like to talk about Katie Price's documentary. If you've watched any of my vlog, you see that I was involved with the production of that documentary. Okay, so for those who don't know, in my other life, apart from YouTube, I do production accounting for production companies, mostly factual documentaries. I also am a co-producer at the production company that myself and my friends started together. So when it comes to like storytelling, films, TV, factual doc, well, that's my world. Either in the side of like creating budgets, building budgets, cost reporting, yeah, stuff like that. Money, anything to do with money. How much is this costing, and where does the money go? Who spends what? Is there enough money? Have we spent too much? I'm your girl. Or if it's like production, which is something I'm getting into now. I've co-produced a short with my friend, and we're raising funds for the next short. So basically, that's just a little summary of what I do. When you see a production, there are hundreds and hundreds of people that make it happen. That's why when the credits roll at the end of a film, it goes on and on and on and on. Anyways, I said all that to say, Katie Price, Nothing to Hide, is out on Sky at the moment. But I wanted to talk about that documentary because it stayed with me to the point of I was somewhere at another screening for a Netflix show a couple of weeks ago, last week, which is covered in my last vlog. And I was talking to someone, and they've also seen the documentary, and we were talking about what did you learn from it, what do you think, and yeah, and we were going back and forth with, do you think this is, or do you not think? We agreed on some stuff and we disagreed on some stuff, which is natural, right? It opens with Katie telling us that, oh, I just had surgery 10 days ago. A media personality, a socialite, you would say. She used to be so popular. She was her first introduction to the public was her being a page 3 girl. Remember newspapers? And page 3 girls would be those girls who are like on page 3 in the newspaper, either topless or sometimes they have tops on, and yeah, basically that was how she was introduced. And then she then went on to have several reality TV shows, released novels, and anything she slapped a name on would sell. She had perfumes, she had swimsuits, she had everything. She was wealthy, she was rich, she was, yeah, a socialite. She was that girl. And then she lost it all. And this story is telling, some of it we already know. Some of it is just a reminder of who she was and how popular she was. Midway into episode 1, the director asked her, looking through old photos in the garage, like, when you see this picture of this 7-year-old, 8-year-old, and she was gorgeous, gorgeous girl. When you see this picture, what comes to mind? And the first thing she said was that I just never liked myself. And then she looked at some other pictures. So pre 7 years old, before she was 8 years old, she liked the way she looked. She was a girl. She was just, living life innocent. And then something happened to her, age 7.5, 8, and I think that changed the course of her life. What I got from that is that so many of the things that we struggle with, whether you're 50 or 30 or 20, so many things that we struggle with can be traced to what happened to us when we were children. And I know that in this era, people talk about self-care and self-care is very important, and self-care sometimes is reduced to just the surface, like take care of yourself, go for a spa, go to the cinema. While that is a starting point, if you really want to take care of yourself, um, you have to do that shadow work, that work of going back into where did this start from. Let's say you have an issue with eating, well, if you have an issue with how you look, if you have an issue with self-confidence, whether you're shy, whether you like to hide, and all of that. When you were young, maybe somebody said something to you, maybe a teacher said something to you, maybe a parent said something to you, or worse, maybe you were physically abused, sexually abused, or it can be traced back to that. And that's what I got from watching Katie, because she went through a traumatic event at age 7.5, 8 years old. I'm not sure if she went into therapy, if that was just swept under the carpet. I gather from it that she probably wasn't offered any form of therapy, or she didn't tell her parents at first, or even if she told her parent, it was just like, okay, you know, just hide it, and that, or don't talk about it. Okay, that's fine, you're okay. And coming from an African background, I know that this is very common in our community as well, where something's happened to a child, you either don't talk about it or you sweep it under the carpet. There are data to show that most of the abuse that takes place in the home is by somebody that you know. So it might be like a childminder, an uncle, a cousin, someone in the family who's done something to a child to change the course of that child's life. Katie is now in her 40s and she's still struggling. You know, it's like every other day she has to tweak something in her face. She's like, if I don't like it, I just change it. If I don't like it, I change it. And it's something to do with control, because when she was young, when something traumatic happened to her, she lost control of herself. She felt like nobody was there for her, nobody defended her. So this is her way of taking back control into her life, and it shows up in the way of tweaking. So look at your life, look at my life. What is it that you're struggling to deal with in your life right now? Is it that you are struggling to take care of yourself when it comes to just getting your weight under control? Is it you're struggling with food? Are you struggling with drugs? Are you struggling with self-worth, not liking yourself? When did it start? When did you start to hate yourself? When did you start to feel not at home in your body? When did it start for you? Trace your way back to that and try and see if you can course correct. Even if you can't, if you feel like it's too late or something, maybe go into some sort of therapy. There are tools out there that can help with dealing with these things. So that's the first thing. The next thing is how dehumanizing fame is. How there was a point where, when everything went boom, where the relationship was crumbling, the first thing, they interviewed one of the editors of OK Magazine. I'm not sure if she's still the current or the ex. And she was interviewed, and she said the first thing she thought of was that, oh my God, we will be able to still work with them, because they had a persona which was like a family. They were presented to the public as this lovely family union or unit, and OK Magazine liked that they were presented as such. A married man, a married woman, 2 kids, perfect family. Now she's going clubbing, she's doing all this, and somebody is filed for divorce. Everything is going wrong in the press, in the paparazzi are taking pictures of her falling out of the club. The first thing that came to her mind was that, oh gosh, what's going to happen to our column? Are we going to be able to work with them? And not even like, is she okay? Maybe we should get her therapy. Maybe we should try and intervene. Maybe we should try and see what's going on with the family, with the kids. No, none of that. And it just reiterates how dehumanizing fame is, just like poverty. How dehumanizing poverty is. It's like when you are famous, people don't see you as human anymore. I'm not famous. I've got a YouTube channel, and I am visible online, as you know, and people, all you do is just in the comments. Sometimes people say nasty things. I block them. I don't care. I've got 1,000 subscribers. But can you imagine millions of people watching you? At the height, they were selling millions of magazines every week. They just didn't see her as human anymore. It's like, okay, what are you complaining about? People feel that you have money. What are you complaining about? People have their own insecurities and their own issues in their lives, and they project it onto you, and they take it out on people they regard as celebrities, or as famous people, um, and they people who feel that you're the cash cow. You are. They don't feel. They know that you're the cash cow, so they don't care about whether you are okay. All they care about is the money and their own selfish needs. You cannot pass on the responsibility of your self-care to somebody else. You are responsible for your care. You are responsible for making sure that you're okay. Several times I've heard where somebody was working at a company, and they come in, day out, day in, day out. They put 30 years, 40 years into this company, and suddenly they drop dead. I've heard about this maybe a few months ago. Somebody drops dead they collapse in the office. They eventually rushed them into hospital. They eventually died. First of all, no one from the office came to visit them in the hospital. A few days later, that role was already being advertised, or that role is being absorbed by somebody else. A few days after that, they've packed up your desks and packed up your stuff into a box and sent it to whoever your family is. In reality, because of the way the system is, it's a capitalist system. You are seen as just part of the clog that gets the wheel going. Just another number. You're just a number who's helping with the spreadsheets, helping with you might as well be a machine, a number. Whose responsibility is it to see yourself as human and to take care of yourself? It's your responsibility. It's your responsibility to do the shadow work. It's your responsibility to take care of yourself. It's your responsibility to take the rest that you need, to take your holidays. It's your responsibility to make sure that you're saving your money or investing your money, so that maybe give yourself the freedom that you desire. That's your responsibility. I've spoken about this before. I used to work with a guy in Reuters, and he worked for Reuters for like over 30 years. We were made redundant. I was just there for like 2.5 years. We were made redundant. When they showed me my redundancy money, I was just excited that, hey, I've got a lump sum of money. What am I going to do with this money? Put a deposit down on a house, or go traveling, take a year off. I was excited. This guy has worked for 30 years. His money was well over, like, it was like six figures, a six-figure lump sum that you're being given. And he was complaining. It's like, it's not about the money. Because I kept telling him, take the money, go on holiday, come back, and go on holiday, restructure your life. What can I do? And it's not about the money. The life, the hours and the years I've given to them. And at that point, I didn't understand, what is he complaining about? Now I get it. He's given his life to this company. He thinks that he's seen as human. He thinks this work is him. Even the money that they were giving us, it was huge to us, but to them it was chicken change. It was like a drop in the ocean. It was nothing to them. Yeah, they were ready to move on. And he was still emotionally attached to that job. And my last thought about this documentary is to the ladies. Ladies, have your own money, have your own account. I spend a lot of time online, and there are women who maybe just getting divorced or getting separated, or they've lost a partner to death, and they don't know their finances. They don't know what's going on with the money. I'm like, what do you mean you don't know where your money is? I can't even wrap my head around what that means. Maybe because I'm an accountant. I know where every penny. I log into my app, I know where every penny goes. I go through every line. Maybe because I'm not rich yet. But I go through every line. I am not giving that over to anybody. Okay, maybe I need to resolve that with my therapist. Maybe I do. Maybe that's the shadow work I need to do. But ladies, people have fought for your freedom. Do you know what the price people paid for you to be in 2026, to be able to have a bank account without the signatory of your husband or a brother or your father? Do you know what price people have paid for you to throw that away and be like, he'll take care of it? Maybe I'll do that in another video. But just last week or 2 weeks ago, we heard of a popular actor's widow. Now she's suing the estate because the promise that he made, the promise that this man made while he was alive, was not kept. I'm going to pay you $5,000 every month. I'm going to put money into a trust for our kids. I'm going to put money down into your to a life insurance. None of that was kept. And now you're suing the estate? Listen, if you don't go and find out what is going on with your bank account, I'm not saying if you're married that you shouldn't have a joint account. Everybody do what's good for you. Have a joint account. I don't do none of that. Nah. I'm not mixing my money with anybody. I'm just not doing it. And I come from a woman, a mother who worked, who had her own money, who had her own businesses, so it's not like it's not like, oh, my mom was a person that my dad took all her money or stuff like that. No, my mom had her own money, but I know that there were people in her generation who didn't have access to their money. But she had her own money. She worked in a very male dominating field as a banker, as an executive in a bank. And she worked away for years up, and yeah, she had her own car, she had drivers, yeah, she had all of that. But she kept her own money, her own account. That even when my dad died, there were certain things she didn't know, that she was like, oh, I need to get on top of that. But she was not in the dark about where her money was. Maybe I got that from my mom, because she was meticulous about keeping an account and making sure where's the money going and who's got what. If all you have is little pennies here and there, you better know where your money is, because tomorrow isn't promised. Something might happen to this man. He might leave you. Like I was watching Jamilia's interview yesterday on the receipts. The guy just woke up and left while she was 3 months pregnant. He just left. Can you imagine? And then you've got a joint account, you don't know where anything is, he's emptied the bank account. I'm not saying that's the story for Jamelia, but I'm saying that, can you imagine if that was her story and she didn't know where her money was, and this guy's just, and now you're here crying and begging people for money. Oh, like my people will say. So I said that because Kate, her brother was taking care of the money. She got with, is it Carrion, I think that was his name. Got with him. She wants to be loved, so much to be loved, and she handed over her account to this guy. She was worth at the time £40 million. Handed everything over to this guy. When this guy came into her life, the father said he does not have a job. So what about, because I was screaming at the TV like, Kate, what about this guy told you that he's got money and that he knows, okay, he doesn't have money, he doesn't have a job. What about you? What about him showed you that he's able and responsible enough to take care of a £40 million portfolio? Like, what are we talking about? Handed it over to him. Of course, everything went down the drain. She had to file for bankruptcy. Can you imagine? You might not have £40 million in your bank account. Maybe all you have is £50,000. Make sure you have something that is yours, the money that is yours. It's got your name on it, you've got access to it, nobody else has access to it. It's important, because we live in a world that is not just a capitalist white supremacy system. It is also a patriarchy where women, even though we live in a society where a lot of women, we have rights, the truth is that we're still catching up. And when it comes to our parents in comparison to the men, it's still like, what is it, 80p on a dollar, whatever that number is. We're not being paid the same. What about this society shows you that your interest is top of mind for anyone? Not in a world where there's manosphere and men are saying all sorts of nonsense. I'm not saying all men. Please don't come in and comment and say it's not all men. I know it's not all men. And you may have a good man at home, and that's good for you, baby girl, good for you. Still have your money, okay? That's my Wisdom Wednesday for this week. Thank you so much for watching my channel. If you like it, give me a thumbs up. I'll see you in the next one.